All right, good afternoon. My name is Vaughn Hedlund, Chair of the Committee on Administration. Our meeting is being held this morning. Is it this 56? Room number?
7:60 this afternoon.
60, I'm sorry, room 60. Our document says room 54, but that is occupied with another function. So welcome to room 60 here at the county building. As far as our agenda, call the roll. I'd like to introduce some new members and one past member of the committee. Sheila Story.
Hi.
Okay. Sheila is our vice chair. Michelle Bashan, Mr. Robert Bauer, and Ann Vogel. Welcome to the new committee members and welcome back to Mr. Bauer. Right, along with that, we have some staff here representing some of the departments that answer in a sense to us in terms of oversight. Approval of the minutes from our past meeting. That meeting was held on March 28th. We also had a meeting which we did on that same day interviews for the position, replacement of the county treasurer or county clerk, excuse me. Treasurer is treasurer. Sorry, Andrew. You don't get to go yet. All right, and so anyone care to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Also move.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer. I'll second myself, or you would. Thank you.
I wasn't here, but I'll do it.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Thank you. Staff reports or public comment. I'm sorry. Do we have any public comment, Andrew? All right. Chris or?
No, I am unaware of any.
Okay, I am not either. All right, we'll move forward. Staff reports. This committee hears from Department of Administration, Human Resources, Criminal Justice Collaboration Division, our treasurer, our IT division, and our county clerk. And so all those reports were included in your packet. Anyone have any questions about any of the staff reports?
I was just going to ask Chris. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Bob.
If I may go, Mr. Chair. On your housing funding kit, what is a housing funding kit that you guys are working on?
So one of the subgroups is to create a toolkit, and the funding one. The funding one is creating kind of a. Well, there's two that are toolkit related. So there's a housing toolkit work group. They're working on putting together sort of the start to finish. If you wanted to build, or you were a developer and you wanted to build in our community, how do you navigate that process? So if you wanted to do if you're an individual who wants to build a house, where do you start? How do you get a rural address? How do you get a driveway permit? How do you do, kind of so that somebody has a ready-made spot to go and find all of those resources? And as it's coming together, it actually looks like, it can be replicated and housed in a number of spots, but it looks like Momentum West, which is an regional economic development group, is going to house it, and then they're actually using that model and redoing it in all of the other 10 counties in their group. So basically you'll have a one-stop shop that you can go out and find all that information. Our hope is to do a similar thing on the funding side. So if you are looking to be a first-time home buyer, if you're looking to do a renovation, especially now with a lot of the alternative energies, there's a ton of tax incentives to do alternative energies. And where's that one spot that you can go and find that information and figure out how to navigate those various funding things, just to reduce some of the obstacles for people who want to build or buy.
wouldn't your first step be at the town you're building in? Would you go to the town clerk and then figure out what you gotta do there first and then go to the county, or is that all gonna be
It's
included?
all
with
part
that?
of it. Yep,
Okay,
it's all part of it.
thank you.
Yep, just a question on the IT report, something that's not in there that I was hoping maybe to get clarification on with the change in the board, visit Dunn County's website. If what going forward is the plan with that?
So yeah, the Visit Dunn County website is kind of owned by the CR&T committee. And it is something that I have kind of managed the contract. It's actually paid for out of Andrew's budget. Well, you control the budget for external organizations. I would kind of defer to the CR&T committee how they want to continue to evolve the effectiveness of that website. We'll have to work with our third party, which is, can't exactly remember the name of the company that does that, but Supervisor Zons was previously kind of the primary contact of that, so we'll have to kind of make that connection happen, but it'll likely happen through CR&T. But I do get the invoices, so we'll pay them as long as it's continuing to go.
May I, as long as you're up there, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Mr. Bauer.
You had something in there about reorganization. You want to explain what you're trying to reorganize? I guess I
Yeah.
did. Is it part of your promotion? Then
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Well, so it's it's related to the promotion, but there's also Luann Doms in our office is retiring. She had provided me notice with that a year prior to her leaving. Her last day is going to be August 1st. So we've known that's been happening, and so we're working through that plan to replace her. And when she leaves, we're looking to kind of adjust the structure of the county, but also with change in my position, that all kind of related to that. So that's been the work. Jenna's going to provide you some information with that in a couple of months. Not today. So, yeah, so that'll all go through that whole process, but yep.
Thank you. Anything else for IT? Why we have him here? Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. All right. Anything else? Any other questions for any of the other departments? Anything that any of the department heads or staff would like to add or change or highlight? Nothing? All right, fine. Andrew, I'm sorry.
No, that's totally fine. Thank you, Vaughn. I just would like to give an update since there was an address made to the county board about what's going on in the county clerk's office. I received a combination of 78 applications for the deputy county clerk and the assistant deputy county clerk positions that I'm hiring for. Have been doing virtual interviews this week, and those will continue throughout the day tomorrow. Hopefully having virtual interviews, in-person interviews next week, and hope to put a job offer out to 2 individuals by the end of next week or maybe early the week after, hoping to get 2 people in the county clerk's office for assistance with the workload by the last part of May. So that's kind of the update. I would love to be joining you, but as an office of one, I am here to respond to the public as need be. So if there's any further questions about anything that has come up, please do reach out and let me know. Otherwise, I will continue to respond to the various public records requests that have been submitted. So.
Okay, anyone care that, as long as we got Andrew online here to.
I could add.
Andrew, would you say something?
Did you hear any of what I said?
Not greatly, so we're trying to fix the speaker system.
Oh.
Try now.
Is it, hello,
Nope, no,
this
you're
is
not.
your county clerk? No? It's not a big deal.
It's not that big of a deal.
No.
All right, we're going to hear from our HR director, Jenna, if you would please.
Thank you. So I just wanted to speak to the report that I had provided within my report from Alethius. So if you want to kind of scroll, this looks like it's page 11 of your packet, and there's some colors and charts and all of that fun stuff. But I'll just point out one area of that page that we pay the most attention to. So that's towards the middle of the page. And you'll see with the first quarter of the year, in that orange box, it shows that, okay, so actually backing up because we have some new members. So this is a report that shows utilization of our care navigation service, which is a component of our health insurance plan. So what our care navigator, and the company's name is called Alethius, what they provide is like a shopping tool for employees on our health plan to be able to evaluate what best value services are available within a certain area that they're willing to drive. This is popular for planned procedures, not emergency procedures. Of course, we wouldn't expect someone to call and shop around in an emergency. But for things like preventive screenings, imaging, and then some infusion services, a lot of people don't necessarily know that healthcare is shoppable. It's not easily done, but this is why we have this care navigator to help provide employees with some transparency of pricing. So we like to look at these reports just to see how well the service is working and what kind of return on interest it's providing. And I would just want to steer your attention to the middle of the page again. You see an orange rectangle. So that represents $50,664 of savings that were offered to members. So this means that members of the plan called Alethea, said, I need to have something done. And there was an opportunity to save up to $50,000 within the first quarter of the year collectively with the members that had contacted that service. Unfortunately, we see that in the rectangle right below that, in the gray rectangle, there was a last opportunity of $28,487. So out of the $50,000 in offered savings, roughly 28,000 of that was not taken advantage of. And then you see in the bottom green rectangle, the 18,827 represents the savings that were followed through on. So all this to say that we are wanting to promote more attention towards this service and really keep employees motivated and educated to continue saving and driving those health plan costs down so that we can continue to improve our plan designs like we have in the last couple of years. Are there any questions? I know it's kind of a lot to throw at you at your first meeting.
But I think, what was our savings last year? Over $1 million, is that correct?
So that was collectively with care navigation and our primary care, direct primary care clinic, Reform Medicine, and then our pharmacy benefit manager. So collectively, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. Chris and I were at a conference the last couple of days, actually earlier this week, learning about all of the various strategies and feeling really fortunate that we have had support to be able to implement a lot of what we heard at a national conference that spoke to the best practices. So I think we're doing the right things. But what we really want to be able to continue focusing on is employee engagement and education into why it's important to be mindful consumers of the health plan. So just wanted to share that bit of information, and hopefully you'll see some better news at the next quarter.
And we still have incentives going, correct? You maybe want to talk about a couple of those to the new members.
Yeah, so with this service specifically, new this year, we implemented incentives that would pay out to employees if they followed through with going to the best value provider for a certain service. Part of the reason for this is a lot of other organizations that have this type of benefit have seen a lot of positive results with incentivizing that. And also because we've kind of heard from our members in the last couple of years, like, why would I go through all of this extra work? Well, in addition to explaining and educating the why behind why that helps everyone in the plan, we thought that a monetary incentive to that would be helping to continue making the most of that service. I can tell you that this service, at least in the first year that we had used it, was around $12,000 for the whole year. So even though we're seeing a lot of missed opportunity in savings here, it's already paid for itself in the first quarter. So that's really baseline of what we can ask for, but hoping to see a lot more ROI as the year goes on.
Can you give them like the example of like the knee replacement? Because that's the most kind of one of the best ones.
Yeah, I wish I would have just included that, but really, so there's this sheet that I can throw in with the next month's report, and it's easier to kind of have a visual, but a sheet that represents the highest cost for services in the Chippewa Valley and the most average, and then what the best value could be. And for a knee replacement, for example, the swing on that, it can be up to like $80,000 plus in the Chippewa Valley, but there's also knee replacements available at verified providers that can be in the $20,000 range. So that's an example of one service that would save the plan a significant amount of money and really not having to travel too much farther down the road to do it. So that information isn't usually easily accessible for healthcare consumers, and also not first nature to maybe ask, well, how much is this going to cost? So we're just hoping to get the word out and continue to educate on why that's important and advocate for everyone and their families to getting the best care at the best cost. Is that me?
Anything else for?
Something's jingling.
Anyone have any other questions? Thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Appreciate it much. All right, any other departmental information? Anybody? Looking good. All right, we're gonna move on. Consideration for action, excuse me, consideration for action to be taken by our committee today. Approval of the vouchers, they ran from 321 to 416. Again, all of those were included in your packet. Were there any questions on any of the individual vouchers that got paid? Michelle?
Just a few questions as I get familiar with everything on here. So hopefully I only ask some of these once. The first question on page 22 under IT grants, 1110, the 11,000 for Geocom, just wondering what that would be.
So it does jingle up here. So that is the final payment to a consulting company that we had hired through a NG 911 grant to adjust our GIS, our mapping data to conform with NG 911 standards. So that was, if you remember, a carry forward request. I'm sure everybody read through them thoroughly. That was, we were hoping to close up that grant at the end of last year, but we were just waiting for them to finish up. So that's the finalization of that. That grant program has been expanded and made available again. So we are looking into options to be able to get that again, but that's what that is. And if I can have a second, I want to explain something on the vouchers that I don't know if anybody was going to catch it, but I think it needs explaining. If you look through there, you'll see a printing IT on almost every one of the cost centers that are in there. That is something that we started about a year and a half ago, our managed print program. And so what that is we now get charged one time a year for printing. We get one bill that is spread out to all of the departments. So you'll see it in there everywhere. And you don't see all of the departments in this particular meeting. So the total of that bill was about $65,000. And that accounts for all printing in Dunn County for a year. That year happened to be from January 31st of last year to January 31st of this year. And I do want to point out, so when we had started this program, we were looking at annually about $95,000 in total print costs, and those print costs were hidden. They were a supply cost of buying a toner here or repairing a printer here or there. And in addition to that, we had 27 independent contracts with E.O. Johnson that were paid monthly, twice. They paid a base cost and they paid an overage cost. So of those 27 contracts, every month there was 54 bills being paid by finance, totaling $95,000 over the year. So we've consolidated down to one bill, one time a year of $65,000. So this is the first time we actually paid that one. So I throw it out there so you won't see that again.
No,
But
that is my question. I was gonna say, how much are we saving? I know that you needed some time to figure that out, obviously, to see what we're putting into place. But
yeah,
not only monetarily to E.O. Johnson, but
those hidden costs.
Yeah, one bill to, consolidate and recommend and approve.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So lots of savings there.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
Yeah,
Michelle.
I have a few. So,
Okay, go ahead.
on the next page 23, Register of Deeds, 1160, there's 3 maintenance contracts for Fiddler Technologies. Looks like one really big one and a couple smaller ones. Sorry.
Yeah, Fiddler is the online records retention application that the Register of Deeds office uses. So if you do an online search for any deeds or anything like that, Fiddler is the company that is housing that. And there's multiple modules of what they can do. And that's what you're seeing those.
Is that one time a year, quarterly? Do you have any idea?
I believe it is monthly, but I could be wrong.
That's okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan. Anything else, Michelle?
Just a general question. I see a lot of language interpretation, which is great that we have that service. Just wondering if it is hourly, per case, per word count. I know you probably won't have the answer right now, but just a general for my interest question.
So language line is a per minute cost.
Okay.
And sometimes you'll see interpreter fees where it's actually an in-person interpretation, and then they're charging on either a 15-minute or hourly rate, depending on the different interpreters that, we contract with them, so they prescribe how they bill for those services. But I would say a bulk of them that you see are language line services, which are by the minute.
That's it.
That's it. Supervisor Bauer, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Ann.
Thanks. I had a few questions too that I wanted to
Okay.
get answered. So I'm guessing the governmentjobs.com for HR must be, is that an annual amount for any jobs? I was just curious if it was a one-time. Okay. And then there is something, I think there is a like the Wisconsin Milkweed Alliance. It seemed like it was like a consulting, but it was under operating supplies. I just didn't know what.
It depends. Do you see where it is, or did you just?
Yeah, it's in the CJC council grants.
Because sometimes it is actually, so Milkweed Alliance is peer-run respite. And sometimes, depending on what service it is that they're providing, I don't know what the dollar amount was.
It wasn't a lot, I would just.
It may well have been that they actually were purchasing an operating supply, depending on whatever service that they were providing. I mean, they might have been, yeah, I don't want to speculate, but I mean, it is possible that there was also a material purchase that went with the service that they were providing.
Okay. I was just curious. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Motion to approve the vouchers as discussed and presented.
A second.
Seconded. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much. Great questions. Thank you, staff, for helping us out. Okay, approval of continued out-of-class pay for Angela Wagner. And Angela is our acting treasurer at this point and is going to obviously be needed as we bring on board our newly appointed treasurer in the end of May. And so that is what this deals with. Any questions on that? Or anyone care to address it for us? Chris, you want to?
The only thing I would, so there's really two parts to this. There's the piece of Angela being the interim treasurer until that position is filled, and then a little bit of overlap. But then in addition, Angela is a PIT lead for our ERP implementation project. And so there were 2 hourly staff in PIT leads that we are paying a bit out of class for their extra time. They're operating in more of a management capacity or utilizing a skill set of management. And so we are advocating for that to Angela to continue to be paid out of class at a lesser rate than as the treasurer, but a greater rate than what her currently hour rate is while she operates as a PIT lead for the ERP project.
And that PIT crew funding is all part of our funding we set aside for the ERP.
Yes, that we carried
implementation.
forward, yes.
Okay. Mr. Bauer.
Angela, do you think 1 month, I mean, she's not going to start till May 28th, and then June 30th runs out. Is that enough time for training? Do you need more time? This seems kind of short.
It would be ongoing. Then, district manager.
Andrew can't hear.
He hears me all the time. Okay, thank you. So she does have a conference in June, the state conference for county managers. And then in July, she has I don't know, whatever, 14, 15 days for vacation. So it will be tighter in there, but I'm okay with it.
You don't think we should extend it a couple weeks, a month, another month? I mean, if you're going to be doing a job, you should get credit for it.
We are okay with that. recommendation.
If you'd like to recommend that, we can, anyone that would be against that recommendation of extending that into the first, at least through the first pay period in July or whatever that works out. Can we do
I
that?
can only do the first 3 months.
Are we also dealing with a new system?
I think, Chris, you would control that anyway.
Well, Nick just said, do you approve that? I said, so the county manager has the authority to approve the first 3 months, and then it needs to come to you for continue. So if you would like to amend the recommendation to include 2 months at her interim county treasurer wage, we can do that, and then she would bump down to the pit lead out of class pay for the remainder of the year.
I would think that with her leaving to go on training and not being around anyway, that she's not gonna get the training that she needs because she's not gonna be here and then you're gonna be going extended. Is that okay? I mean,
Yeah. And we are working on a training plan to maybe try to pull in a few other people, but hey, if you want to pay me, that's fine.
All right, so would you like to amend the resolution to that?
I will amend it for another month. I'll make the motion to do that.
Okay, second to that? Okay, voting on the amendment now. We have to do that first. All those in favor of amending, instead of 30 days, basically 2 months? Do we want to call it 2 months? All right, 2 months, is that okay? All right, all in favor of amending, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now then, the resolution, which includes the pit crew additional funds after that period. Any other questions on that?
Just want to know, it's not a resolution. My understanding is the committee on administration.
Okay.
It ends with you.
Yeah, right. All right, so does that take care of it? Okay, all right, then we're good to go. So it'll be for an additional time period.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for recognizing my work, so I appreciate it.
Well, we don't want to chase you away.
No.
All right.
So
okay.
then do we have to amend the July 1st start date, then it'll go to August 1st? For the next period?
Oh, for the
Yeah, for the,
pit crew time? Is that necessary?
I'm gonna ask Jenna to speak to it just because I don't have it in front of me.
I don't know if this is allowed, but I can amend the report while we're sitting here and then have the committee approve it in real time. Is that okay, Nick?
Are you talking about another thing to amend?
The report that they had approved the motion to amend to extend county treasurer.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up and having a look at it right now.
I was just offering that I could amend it and then
Resubmit it.
resubmit during
I
this
don't
meeting.
know that that's necessary.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Are there other changes that are going to be made to it?
I think it's just a clarification of the dates. Continuing the interim county treasurer until August 1st, right? And then post that, after that, the continued out of class pay for the ERP project.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's do that. Are we okay, Nick?
Yeah, I think if you want to just change the dates to, or if you think you need to change the dates, it looks like you've extended for 1 month, right?
Right.
So you can just change, as a practical matter, it's been changed.
Okay.
I agree. I
Good to
just
go?
want to make sure.
you wanna
Everyone
see
here
it
feel good
more-
with that? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nick, thank you. Okay, next, item 7, consideration reports, resolutions, ordinances to the county board and the committee. A resolution approving intergovernmental IT agreement. That also is in your packet. If we could get IT back to the podium again, please.
Sure. So this is an agreement with the city of Menominee for us to assist them in providing some IT services. If you're unfamiliar, the city of Menominee has one person in IT covering the entire city, and that's a lot. But through their evaluation of their needs and some discussions with us, that it wasn't felt like they needed a full nother person. And so we had a conversation about how we could assist them in providing some of those services. And realistically, our operation being a little bit larger, we have people with different levels or different expertise in different areas. So that gives them a wider level of expertise by working with us to provide that, as opposed to hiring one person and expecting them to be a jack of all trades. So this agreement reflects that. It's for $20,000. We will provide essentially some consulting and assisting their technician with any areas that he really needs assistance or just is unfamiliar, using the expertise that we have. But the primary thing that we're going to be doing is answering phones. So we're going to be providing that front level, let's call it like a triage like response. So they call up, I'm having a problem with this. We'll see if we can fix it. If we can't, we'll track it and we'll send it off to city IT to solve that. So saves him from having to answer the phone or being unable to answer the phone and people can't get a response. So we can do that level. So it's for $20,000 and we're working through that and we'll see what happens with it as time goes on.
And included with that, staff, hopefully all look at the proposed agreement, but as you know, who they would answer to, who we will answer to, and the fact that if it's not working out, both parties can change it. So I see no problem with it.
I think Supervisor Story. I have a couple questions.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Just wondering, in the event that the system goes down, citywide, countywide,
Yeah.
how would you coordinate services that way?
Right.
Is there anything that you
So
would do?
that's a great question, because Nick and I spent time on that particular item. So Dunn County is a priority for our staff to be able to work on that. So if there is an issue in Dunn County, if we're working on something for the city, we're going to stop doing that and we're going to work on Dunn County. That being said, if there's an issue in the city as well, we're not going to give up all of our services to Dunn County, but we're going to go and help them and provide the services that they can in those emergency type situations. Also, I guess from a background, from a IT cybersecurity incident standpoint, there is a statewide group called the Emergency Response Team that is run through the Department of Military Affairs. And the way that works is we sign up to be a part of it. Our employees sign up to be a part of it. They provide free trainings. It's a grant. So they provide trainings for our employees to learn all kinds of different things around cybersecurity, cyber response, and just general good best practices of managing networks and servers and systems. So the other side of that is being a part of this team means that you are going to respond to other government agencies that have that issue or have issues. So if there is a ransomware attack in Colfax School District, right? They're going to call the emergency response team. All of the emergency response team is going to go find all kinds of people around, and we're going to go and respond to that agency. So we do leave the county in order to go and respond to those different agencies, and that's kind of our piece of, we get free trainings, but we also utilize that and share that experience, and that's a statewide effort. And Wisconsin's kind of the first one in the model for the rest of the United States and the states and how we're managing
So
that
you would be
particular area. So-
developing some kind of a booklet or pamphlet or something that would go to the different townships and so that they would all know what to do in the event of this kind of an emergency? I mean, like a
Right.
tornadic event?
So the emergency
Anything.
response team, that particular thing, that's, sorry, I
ahead.
sidestep, that is not part of this agreement necessarily. That's just kind of what we would do with any government agency. But with that emergency response team, that's all kind of run through the State Department of Military Affairs, which is they oversee their 911 and all of those different areas. That's that same agency statewide that's doing that. So,
So you're saying the
Yeah.
communication is there now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could, Mr. Chair, if they had a train of thought here, lost it, but if it gets to be more than a half a person that the city of Menominee wanted and it gets to be almost a full-time person, is that gonna bother your staff?
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of so $20,000 isn't a half a isn't a half a person. It certainly would, right? And so that's kind of that question of, what are we getting ourselves into? So we kind of picked a number. The number comes from essentially an estimate of the number of calls that we would receive and have to respond to and how long that would take, right? That's where that $20,000 comes from. The contract has areas in it where after we review this for a year, we can sit there and say that's not the right number. We're going to need more to be able to do that. And I think I had shared with this, well, it's not all the same committee, but I had shared it in the past. So we have an agreement right now with the town of Sand Creek, where we're providing some IT services to that town, and we've extended that offer to many of the other towns to be able to do that. And so that's kind of a piece of this, is I feel like a lot of these towns and villages, all the municipalities are overmatched when it comes to managing their technology. And I feel like that's something that we can, from a county perspective, we can do that. We can receive some revenues to be able to offset our expenses, but we also need to keep the county's best interest in order as well, so that we're not overdoing that. So we would evaluate that at the end of the year, to answer your question, Supervisor Bauer. And if we're on the losing end of that, we would have to negotiate for more. Yep. And that $20,000 is not budgeted. So that would essentially just be revenue that goes into the general fund right at this point, unless we were to ask for it. So that our staff's time were already budgeted prior to this whole thing. So
Thank you.
One other question.
Yes, go ahead, Sheila.
The other question I have is, so if you're helping out these other places with their technology, are you able to link up so that you're able to log into their computers to help them from sitting here and doing things so you don't have to travel
yes,
to do that?
yes.
Perfect.
That's actually a requirement of the contract. They have to install the software that allows the coordination, remote access and assistance.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Okay, so at this point, are we the sole approver?
No, it will go to the board.
It will go to the board.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a resolution that approving the contract, and so you will vote on it today, and then it'll come to the county board.
Right
if
to the
you
board, correct?
Yeah, if
from
you
from us. Yeah.
choose to send it up.
All right. So we need a motion for this to take place. All right, Supervisor Bauer, Supervisor Vogel, seconds. Any other questions or concerns?
Clarification, should the motion have been there before we discussed it? Just so I know. Because here I may have to be.
I mean, technically, I suppose so, but
Yeah.
you were receiving a report about it and, you know, there are 5 members on the committee and so
So we can-
nobody's become unruly or, you know,
Yeah.
Okay.
so it's okay.
All right.
It happens a lot in committee work, especially some discussion before.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much, all of you. All right, next meeting date, this committee, May 23rd, 2024. Is that correct?
That is correct. And can I
Okay.
ask a question of inquiry? I know because there are 3 new members, it made me think of it as Jenna was speaking. Would the new members as well as the existing members find it helpful for us maybe in May to do kind of a review of benefit packages? What that looks like? Okay, because we'll be moving fairly shortly after that, we'll be moving into budget. So that'll allow an opportunity for you to kind of know how that all comes together.
Thank you, Chris.
Is there like a list of all of the staff payroll amounts that we're able to see, or generalized, titles and, you know what I mean? Maybe that's not good enough. I don't know.
Yes and no. There's no, it says the government, you can't answer this trick question directly. So all of that information is findable. It sort of depends on what you want it to look like. So if you want to see, I mean, we regularly run total payroll costs. Pulling it, we also have a listing of staff and payroll. We might have to do some updating to it or pull it a little bit differently. I guess it depends on what you're looking for and how often you want to see it.
Well, I'm thinking that if you've got all these different departments and they've got their little trees of who's in charge and how it goes down, but then when it hits budget time, I know we often get those requests, we want to maybe add this position or change this position or whatever. For me, at least, it would be helpful to see how that would change.
Yeah, that information, from a budget standpoint, that information will come to you in a variety of ways. So Supervisor Kinnear, who's here last year, asked us to look at staffing kind of through the years, like how many did we have and how many did we add and things. It's not hard to do that by department. It's just a little harder to roll all of that up and have that be kind of consumable by department, but you will definitely get it. You'll get it first in the big numbers, and then we can drill down to as little in numbers as you want us to.
Okay. Well, the reason it would be helpful for me, and that's what I was thinking of too, is how it's changed through the years. At our meeting this morning, I learned what the rate of pay was for certain positions, CNA, beginning CNA and different things, and how it's changed. And then we also talked a little bit about inflationary changes, and that kind of thing. So having been out of this for a few years, it would be something that I would be looking at in the event that we do get requests for it, for that coming from different
Yeah,
places.
you can have all of the information that you want. We'll just start smaller, and then you can ask deeper questions, just because there is a plethora of information.
Okay.
And I would assume as we get reports, what you saw, in your reports from our departments and how their budgets are going. Again, they're not individual people, but you can track the ongoing success or not success of departments' budgets. And, but that's a very good idea. Yeah, because
like
that is.
How many there are those, and how many there are
Yeah,
those.
you will always be able to have access to organizational charts. That's what those are. They don't necessarily tie the salary and the organizational charts together, but you can put the pieces together.
All right, and May 23rd is correct as far as the 4th Thursday. I thought Sometimes we miss on that.
There's 5 in,
Yeah. 5 this time. All right.
Does anyone else have meetings that day?
you're
Yeah.
always on the same day as Health and Human Services, just not this
Neighbors.
month, and the neighbors in the
Neighbors, I
morning.
know, at 9. What time is your meeting?
Yeah. Health and Human Services at 5?
6.
6 o'clock.
Oh, so it does make sense to keep it where it is. I was thinking maybe we can move them closer together, but now
Yeah.
we've got that
We
one.
used to do it at 3:30 and then sometimes we
Little long.
crowded that second meeting and kind of pushed the heck out of staff too, who had to attend both, so.
Mhm.
We backed it to 3 o'clock and that has worked to this point. All right, nothing else? We're gonna adjourn. Thank you all for being here. Welcome again to all the new members and welcome Mr. Kinnear. Thank you. Thank you.